Hey, this is Ramon. I'm the managing partner of 501k. If you're interested in commercial real estate wholesaling, or if you have any questions, or you would like me to mentor you and teach you how to wholesale commercial real estate, or you have a deal that you'd like us to collaborate on, please reach out. You can reach me at Ask Ramon Questions, and that's questions plural, at gmail.com. I'd love to collaborate with people that watch my content. I have a gentleman right now that I started working with, and we're doing his very first deal. And his very first deal is going to be 7 figures. We should be closing on that here in the next little bit. This could easily be you. Go ahead and reach out. Would love to work with you. Would love to get to know you. Let's make this happen. Reach out. But for now, let's get back to the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the 90-day commercial real estate wholesaling accelerator course. Today we're talking about a mistake that I made that I think, and in fact, I made that mistake more than once. So hopefully you can watch this video once or twice and not make the mistake at all, because it'll cost you easily hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I decided for fun to call it the Mañana syndrome. So you'll understand why I called it that here in a moment. And as always, let's play this like a game of chess, think a few moves ahead. So this video is for you if you want to learn one of the most common mistakes that people make in commercial real estate wholesaling, right? What you walk away with. You'll walk away with a lesson that can save you from losing hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. And it hurts. Let me tell you, you get excited about a deal, and man, even if it's not even like 7 figures or hundreds of thousands, it's only 100,000. It hurts because you get excited, you put all this time and energy into it, and you don't want to make this mistake, right? So let's get into it. Here's the scenario. So you identify a market that you like. You identify the type of commercial real estate property that you will target, right? Whether it's land or apartment buildings or storage units, and even within land, right? If you drill down even deeper and you go, well, I want land for apartment buildings, right? For multifamily housing, or you want land that can be used for a C-class storage facility or A-class storage facility. So here the scenario is. You've decided exactly what you want, right? The type of property. You've identified the end buyer with precision, right? So if it's like, for example, A-class storage facility, right, then you would want to go for someone that works closely with or in collaboration with, like, say, like an Extra Space Storage, right? Like the name of that company. Or if you're looking for, let's say you're looking for high-end homes, right? You would identify it exactly with precision that it is a developer that wants to build nice homes, right? It's not somebody that's building tract homes, right? So as an example, you also, the scenario is you create a list, right, of potential buyers, right, possible buyers, right? Because once you've pinpointed and you've decided, okay, this is somebody that builds high-end homes, then you go out there, you do your research, right? You get your list of buyers, put them on a spreadsheet, skip trace them, whatever you do, right? You get their contact information, go on Google, whatever. And then you call them and you start conversations with them, right? That's the scenario. And during those conversations, right, you're talking to them about the size of the ideal project for them, right? Whether they like, maybe just smaller tracts of land, right? Because they're building high-end homes. We're going to stick to that for now, just to make this video a little more coherent. So you're targeting a developer that wants to build high-end homes, right? In a specific area, right? So they're going to tell you that they're comfortable doing maybe a couple homes at a time. Some developers that do these are only comfortable doing one at a time. So that's not who you're going after potentially, right? And you might find somebody that's more experienced, right? And they like taking on 10, 15, 20, 30 acres. And then what they do is they develop a significant number of those, and then sometimes they sell off some of the lots, right, to other developers, custom home builders. You start talking to them about their budget, right, for their purchase. You find the ideal final product type that they're looking for, right? So specifically, right, we're talking about high-end homes, but maybe it's not high-end homes. Maybe it's high-end condos, right? High-end townhomes. Is it, what I mean? And then you can even drill down even further. Do they like to build, high-end homes with, at least 5 acres or at least an acre, at least half an acre, or are they the type of home builders that kind of here where I'm at, you have some communities there where there's some nicer homes and no one really has a yard, right? So everything is shared. You essentially only own the land that your home sits on and maybe a garden, right around it, right? And now, other than that, it's like all shared, common area. So if that's what they're looking for, you need to know, discuss that with them, right? And so this conversation, right, you're having with this buyer, he mentions, maybe some of his concerns, right, during the entitlement process, maybe some issues that they've had recently, and they talk to you a little bit about the earnest money, right? How much earnest money they'd be willing to come in with, and you start talking about your fee, right? The structure, whether you're going to sell it to them through an LLC or if you're going to assign it to them, and you start talking about all these details, and you start talking about timelines, right, for closing. Maybe they have another project that they're finishing up and they don't want to start until they're done with that one, right, or at least coming close to finishing that other project up. um, and then you start sharing, right, in that conversation, right, here's where it gets interesting. You start sharing the size of your project. You start talking about the zoning of your current piece of land that you have, the approximate location of your deal. You start to research, share with them some of the research that you've done with the planning and zoning department, right? And of course, you're trying to be careful, right, not to share too much with them, right? Because, well, you'll see here in the next slide, but you start sharing with them maybe some of the insight regarding the relationship that you have with the seller, right? Because they might ask you, right, well, do you have it listed? Are you, I mean, are you did you partner with the landowner? Kind of, they start, asking you questions, and you start sharing with them some of these details. However, right, you don't have the deal under contract yet, and you're still negotiating with the seller. Because this is something, that for one reason or another, you just don't have under contract yet, right? There's all kinds of scenarios, right, where that can develop. The threat here is, right, is that the seller can change his or her mind about selling the property to you. And then it makes you look bad, right? Especially if you moved along and you got this developer super excited and you started drafting contracts and maybe you already had him sign some things, right? That's, what I mean? It'll be a black eye, right, on that relationship, because there's a trust, right, that'll be breached, right? Because now the seller doesn't want to sell anymore, right? For one reason or another, they don't want to sell anymore. Or what's more common is that the seller has decided to change the price on you, right? So whatever numbers you had given him and whatever numbers you had, decided that, as far as what your fee was going to be, all those numbers change now, right? Because now the seller has decided that they want more. They got a call from somebody, and now they're thinking maybe it's worth a little bit more, right? Another possibility, another risk, right, is that, and this shouldn't happen, but it does. It's just, it's human nature. Shouldn't happen though. But the buyer decides to contact the seller directly, right? You've given your buyer enough information where either they or somebody that they know that they work with, right, that they have a relationship with, maybe somebody that does something similar to what you do, but maybe they have a track record with this person, right? They give the details that you've shared with them, right, with the seller. I'm sorry, with the buyer. They take those details, share it with their, right, we'll call it another commercial real estate wholesaler, right, that they work with. We'll just assume that that's what the role is. And then they go and research and find out, who your seller is. And then they go around you, right? So once again, right, you get excited about these deals. It's so easy to get excited about commercial real estate wholesaling because the numbers are so big, right? It's especially if you're relatively new to it, right, and you're going to make your first 100, 200,000 on a deal. It's yeah, it could be a game changer, right? Because that can give you the freedom to quit your job if you have a job, and then really just focus on this alone, right? So which has huge implications, right? It's huge implications for the quality of life, what your day to day looks like, what your life could look like, right? From then till you decide to retire someday, if you ever do retire, right? Because this is fun. You may decide to do this forever, right? So, into your 70s, right, kind of thing. So, anyways, my point is that it can be devastating, right? You get all excited about these deals, and then one of these things happens, right? So you want to make sure that, right, you do some research with your potential buyer. You don't give them enough information to where they can go and share it with someone. That before you get too far, right, before you start making promises to your buyer, before you start giving hard numbers, having them sign stuff that with hard numbers, that you got the property under contract, right? That it's not just because And by the way, when I made this mistake, right, like I thought, like for sure this is a done deal, right? Like the seller wants to sell, this is their price, they've agreed to it, it's a handshake deal, it's solid, right? But that's not always the case. People change their mind, right? Stuff happens. It's just yeah. So you want to make sure that you have that deal, right? That the mistake that you don't want to do is getting too serious, right? Too hot and heavy with your buyer when you still don't have your seller locked in. You got to have your seller locked in. You want to be able to do enough research on that property, right? Before you talk to everyone, right? So that at least you come across intelligently, right? Like you understand the market, you understand what you're doing. So when you get the property under contract with the seller, he understands that this is not, I mean, that you really do know what you're doing, right? Um, and then you have legitimate buyers and all that. And when you talk to your buyers, you want to be able to have enough research under your belt, right? Initially, to be able to speak about the deal intelligently. And once you have it under contract, right, as you're looking for a buyer, you can do more due diligence, right? You can continue talking to planning and zoning. You can continue talking to the utility companies. You can continue doing all the due diligence that needs to get done, right, to put together a nice packet for a potential buyer. But you don't want to you don't want to go too far down that road, right, of due diligence, or too far down the road of negotiating with a buyer until you have that property locked in. And I mean locked in. Make sure you have a good contract, so you don't get yourself in trouble. So run it by your attorney. And anyways, I hope that was helpful. It's like I said, it's just a little tip, right? A little something that hopefully can help you avoid making a mistake that I've made a couple times. If you have any questions, I'd love to work with you. Go ahead and shoot me an email. It's askramon questions with an S at the end at gmail.com. And yeah, thanks for your support. Hope this was helpful.